Good evening, good afternoon, good night, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another scene set in Chronicles of Darkness Vampire Requiem. Requiem for London. Tonight, we set the scene with Marcus Irons, who has arranged a meeting with Lucille Thistle, the sire and current caretaker of Julian D. Goodman. Marcus, it was not particularly hard for you to get into touch with Ms Thistle. She is one among a number of among the Order of Mysteries who are trying to keep communications open between the Order.
Very good.
So as not to prevent a breakdown in communication in a time of war. That said, means of communicating have tightened. When attempting to access officials of the Order, they appear to have resorted to using Gould couriers and kindred to deliver their messages, as opposed to using technology or other means. When they do, they're using secure networks and burner phones, as opposed to just texting somebody. After all, it's more than likely that all those phones have wound up in the hands of the enemy at this point, just given the casualty rate. So such methods are not quite as reliable as they once were. But members of the Axe are on the case. And you've been able to get into touch with Ms Thistle, who will be seeing you in a restaurant not too far off King's College on the second floor.
He will rather casually. I would say he's dressed in a manner that would befit a man of his age, if he were, just a mere mortal of the middling sort. Walks over, gives her a polite nod. Pardon me, is that chair still free?
Mr. Irons, please take a seat.
Thank you. And you'll take a seat. Sit down.
It's a nice restaurant. Fairly upper scale. She's not yet ordered food or drinks. So it appears you are fairly on time.
Well, yes.
A few minutes ago.
Yeah, Marcus likes to make a point of being punctual. That good old army routine.
Something to note, though, she wears her dark glasses that she has in her overlay, even while she is inside the building.
Marcus would logically assume that it might be some defect or something showing, or maybe an extremely old habit of hers. But he won't say anything to the sort. Lovely choice of locale. I like your taste. He looks around. approvingly nodding.
Well, I appreciate it. I've gotten awfully bored of meeting people within my offices.
Well, yes, it can become rather droll. I hope the night finds you well.
Yes, quite well. Just a quick note. Droll means humorous or amusing.
Oh, sorry,
opposed to
not
boring.
my mistake, player mistake. Pardon me.
Did you mean dry? Did you mean to say dry?
Yes.
Yeah, I figured. They're pretty easy to mix up, particularly since droll means something that is amusing in a dry way. So that's yeah, it's nah, it's cool though. But I shall continue. Would you like to order drinks, Mr. Hans?
Yes,
Or are you
please.
quite satisfied? Excellent.
Out of character, he has got the blush of life on, so that he passes nice and squarely as human.
So does she. Keep in mind it just costs you a blood point.
Noted.
She has as well. She's been flush of life this entire time. Funnily enough, the blush of life causes her to share her age a little bit more than she does as a corpse.
Mm-hmm.
The color brought into her skin emphasizes the wrinkles upon her skin.
Then again, Marcus, having been embraced as a 45-year-old who had been on the streets for quite a while, his blush of life, although definitely enlivening the visage, definitely makes him show his age. However, he doesn't seem terribly bothered by it. Quite the contrary. It's almost as if he takes some comfort in his maturity.
For her part, Lucille's largely the same. She is, if she has any issues with showing her age, she certainly is not revealing it to you. But if she orders some fine wine from the waiter that she calls over, and you're free to order whatever you wish. Oh, you're muted again.
And he'll go for the same. Actually, he'll even go for the same wine she orders. It has been a while since he had wine. He's curious what kind of wine she likes.
I am not a wine connoisseur, so some vintage red wine. There you go.
San Vino Cadita. Something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, something definitely foreign. England is not renowned for its wine.
Well,
I'll
not these days, but back in the 1300s, it actually had quite the wine culture. But we're getting off topic.
Certainly not anymore. I'll say that much. Something Italian. But you order your drinks. So, Mr. Arons, what is it that you would like to discuss?
It has come to my notice that your ward, I guess is the right term, one Mr. Goodman, has been placed under your charge again. Mind you, as far as the Goodman goes, that part he says very silently. If it weren't for her kindred senses, she'd probably not be able to pick it up.
She seems to hear you loud and clear. Yes, Julian.
Yes.
After the incident, he was reprimanded. He has since been re-earning his keep.
That's good to hear. However, since the case is as it might be, I thought that it was only right and proper to get into contact with you and politely ask you if I could borrow him for a little personal mission.
Borrow him. May I ask on what particular matter? He is currently indebted to a Dr. Barte.
I
Ganesh
see.
Barte.
Oh, yes, I recently had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Barte.
Ah, excellent, yes. He is the most prodigious member of the Dying Light.
Yes. I probably should see if I can't get a meeting with him as well, if for no other reason than to get myself a little bit more educated about my clan. But that isn't the reason I'm here. The reason I would like to borrow Julian is twofold. As a coterie member, he enjoys a certain degree of trust in my eyes, and I also know that he wouldn't have any reason to use what I'm about to disclose against me. Seeing that apart from that one rather shocking slip up, let's put it that way, and I am aware that I'm horribly understating here. He has otherwise proven himself a rather trustworthy fellow, at least towards me. The mission in question is a very simple reconnaissance, and he looks around, lowers his voice. Collection of human remains. A dear friend of mine, almost a year ago now, sadly didn't get the proper burial and treatment of his human remains that would have been befitting. But then again, I didn't have any choice in the matter. Being under the sway of Dominate and having to take care of a body rather quickly and rather dirtily, I merely wish for a second pair of eyes to keep an eye out while I exhume my dear friend and give him the proper send-off that he deserves.
And where would this procession take place?
He will give the name of a forest in one of the outlying areas, just out a little, I would say 1-2 villages outside of the city boundaries of London, towards the, clearly west. Out of character, that being the location which, at least in his mind, is where he buried Harry.
Yeah. It's there are some parks and a couple of conservation areas not too far westward. But a lot of it is quite broken up along the west side.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just to the southwest side, there's a place you could go to. I see. Well, I would be quite happy to allow you to. Oh, Julian's here. Hello, Julian. This is an unexpected surprise.
They are in a swanky restaurant and I've just ordered.
Oh yeah.
Wine.
You should probably be disguised, Julian.
Yeah. I will do so, though. Julian will be surprised to see Thistle here. He got the message that Marcus wanted to meet him at this restaurant. He was not expecting her.
Lucille will finish by saying I'm quite happy to allow you to borrow Julian. In return, I would simply ask that you help him you assist him in the repayment of his own debt to Mr. Barty. I'll inform him that you will be aiding Julian in his endeavors.
I shall aid him in equal measure. Marcus makes a clear point of that.
Excellent. She will take out her phone and she'll begin texting somebody. And then she puts it down. They'll be made aware within the next 2 hours. Are you enjoying your drink, Mr. Irons?
An interesting after bouquet. And yes, thoroughly. As he slowly finishes the glass.
Lovely.
I was just thinking.
Marcus, you're aware that while you have sent Julian the message that you are here, needless to say, given his current condition, it's not exactly wise for him to be in a public restaurant.
Out of character, I was a bit surprised about that. I was hoping you were going to keep him in the background until the mission itself.
Well,
because with all due respect, that's not a mistake that Marcus would make.
well, we can. Oh, he's going to ninja vanish. How have the nights been treating you in general, Mr. Irons?
Oh, the first few nights were definitely quite the cavalcade of unexpected situations, brushes with a whole other kind of mortality, and definitely a little confusing, but I'm happy to say that I found my feet, I found unexpected allies, and in no small part due to the kindness of Mr. Goodman, I was able to get on that first step that afterwards allowed me to take the rest of the steps on my own. My studies have been progressing rather comfortably, I have to say.
Very good.
And hopefully, in time, I might be able to add to the body of our knowledge. Given my condition, I can't guarantee anything, of course, but I just might be able to add some useful data. Maybe give a slightly different perspective on things. And yourself, how have you been finding the last year so far?
Very insightful.
Yes. It is a rather interesting condition. Should I say condition? Pardon me. Existence. We find ourselves. However, I definitely don't regret joining our rather illustrious order. I'm happy I didn't find myself recruited and my mind quagmired in some pseudo religious fervor, or just a blind wish to rage against the machine, if you pardon the play on words. Information, data, clarity, getting to the bottom of things. I could appreciate those things back in my day, and I can most definitely appreciate them now.
Such qualities are vital to the function of our order.
And I think it goes without saying that with my background, I understand the importance of a good, properly organized hierarchy. Not as rigid as the one of the Invictus. No. They say they're all about merit. I've got the feeling we've got them beat on that field. True merit.
Well, I suppose we shall only find out in time.
I don't expect you to to believe many of my words, for you haven't seen my actions yet. But yes, in time.
I think with that we can skip forward about half an hour. You have a lovely dinner with Ms Thistle. She is very accommodating, if a bit dry.
To be fair, with the other kind of kindred company Marcus had to deal with, this is a breath of very pleasant fresh air.
I think at this point in time you meet up with Julian perhaps elsewhere, further away from any public spaces.
Most definitely as far away from CCTV cameras as we can get in this country. Who would have thought closed-circuit television, the greatest foe of vampires? Oh, how the mighty bloodsuckers have fallen.
Well, you and Julian meet up in a discreet location.
Yes. Marcus is close to the location, walks around, whistles a tune that Julian knows, only too well. And Marcus starts musing, a little aloud to himself. I wonder where my brother Enkidu be.
He's here.
Yeah.
I hope Thistle is pleasant.
More pleasant than I expected. Although I'm sure she can have a very sharp tongue when nobody's watching.
Yeah, she doesn't really care if people are watching, to be honest.
I see. But anyway, enough with the formalities, and Marcus gives Julian a proper bro hug.
And he will return the favor.
Right, I've organized the ride, I've organized the entrenching tools and the body bag. Plus enough gasoline to probably burn down two tower blocks if I really wanted to. Good thing I'm not a Carthian. He chuckles.
He raises an eyebrow about all the gasoline. I was like, how deep do you think we're going to dig this hole?
It's probably not going to be more than 3 feet. My sire wasn't particularly fussed about doing it particularly properly. Good thing there are no boars or wolves anymore in this country. If not, I would have to be worried that some wild animal had dug him up.
Well, there's still the vermin, like raccoons and such, but they're typically less inclined to do that.
And even if, and it almost pains me to say it, after everything we've seen, I've got the feeling a half-desiccated corpse is probably the least shocking thing we've seen so far.
But I'm assuming, unless somebody is watching his body, this should be a relatively quick snag and grab. At least hoping for, at least.
I actually do have a question to ask. Where is this body?
This body will be in a clearing in a forest that wasn't too far away from Marcus Sicius's haven. There you go.
Okay.
I would say about 3 feet under.
I'd say then, a second, because I recall you kept in, I think it was Watford for the longest time.
Yes.
So that's the northwest side. Not too many forests around here, but
I mean, out of character, I had to improvise.
Just on the western side, there's actually quite a lot of green space. So yeah, on the western
not
edge
even
of Watford.
northwest, just west. West will do.
It's on the northwest side of Watford, I think, could be. Yeah, there's some greenery there.
I mean, for any people who live there, I haven't got the foggiest idea how the area looks like. This is purely fiction. Well, Marcus will hand Julian a balaclava and say, well, grab some shovels, grab the body bag, I'll lead the way.
He nods. Though, curious question. With Protean 1, I can't drag anything with me or out the ground, can I?
No, you can't leave objects beneath the ground. You basically sink in with your clothing and anything that you can have on your person at the time, but outside of that, no, not really.
No, and I can't pull anything up from the ground as well, from the spot I'm in. I say, could it be really convenient if I could just go under his body and then just pull it back up?
No, not really. It's a fairly narrow power.
Nah, that's all right. Then, yep, Julian will accept the shovel and make sure if there's any distinct markings of where his body's supposed to be at to dig around the body, not into it.
Okay. So you begin digging. And you keep digging. And you keep digging. Eventually, you hear something. Doesn't sound nice.
Should we be hearing that?
Was this guy buried just plainly in the ground, or was he put in like a coffin or something?
Yeah, this one is going to be extra nasty. He was the body was put into a sports bag, like one of those really old, big 80s sports bags, closed up and then buried.
Okay.
Marcus's sire didn't give two shits. He even dominated Marcus to bury him, just deep enough so that nobody would notice. Didn't even allow him to put a stone to mark the place.
Wow. You, after some brief examination, you're pretty sure you've hit the body.
Yeah. He'll start getting some gardening tools out to expose the bag.
Hmm. The body is it's not really recognizable at this point. Much of it has been eaten through by bacteria and animals beneath the earth, worms and maggots and the like. The rate of decay has been swift. You only really know it's Harry based on the fact that, well, he was buried here. Nothing else was.
And his dog tags.
Hmm.
Yeah, he'll find the dog tag. Harry Woods. Yeah, that's him. Hello, my old friend. And Marcus looks genuinely sad. I'm really sorry I couldn't come earlier. It's been a crazy year. But anyway, as promised, I'm here to give you the proper send-off you deserve. And with that, he'll close the bag and he'll ask Julian to help him get the bag out and to start piling up the wood, putting the body on it, and just dousing it in ridiculous amounts of gasoline and burnable material.
As they're getting the body prepared, Julian would say, not of any sign of disrespect, but it might be wise for me to go under as you're burning the body. I'd rather not risk a poor reaction.
No, that's perfectly fine. I'm but if Marcus takes a lucky strike, puts it in the side of his mouth, lights it. Mind you, he is far enough away that he's not going to ignite the pyre. Takes a few drags. Then he makes a very odd symbol over the body, almost using the red of the cigarette as if to draw a sign in the air. It's a 5-pointed star in a circle. And then he says, I didn't know Harry's full story. I didn't know all the details about everyone who loved him, hated him. I don't know all the great or minor deeds that he did. However, when I was at my lowest point, when I was literally in the gutter, when the world and everyone else had forsaken me, he found me. He took me into his group. He helped me work through a lot of my problems. He got me off the goddamn drugs. Well, the hard ones. We still enjoyed the odd J. He was teaching me things that most people never get to hear. He helped me. He gave me a group. He gave me a sense of belonging. He basically gave me a reason to live again and to find joy in the small things. Thank you, Harry. Thank you for being there for me. And may with this your spirit rise to where it belongs. And I shall dwell down here until my final night comes. Farewell, my friend. He takes the last drag of his cigarette and throws it on the pyre, igniting it. Sorry, a little addendum. Marcus lifts a cigarette and before he throws, he goes, "Julian, sink now." Throws the bud. It goes in a big arc. Igniting the pyre.
The pie goes up. And over the next few minutes, what remains of your old friend will be burned away. Leaving nothing but charred bone.
Once the flames have died down, Marcus will go beside the area where Julian sank into the ground and just stomp 3 times on the ground.
Julian will emerge from the earth.
There are no more flames.
He nods at the direction of the body, and then, as he raises, puts a hand on Marcus's shoulder. Not every day people get to be properly buried, despite what people think. This was good.
Thank you. Let's gather up the charred bones. And Marcus produces some fire and heat-proof gloves that he got for the occasion.
Julian will have gloves, but he didn't think much about getting fire resistant, maybe heat resistant, but he does himself to be careful about it.
All right. Good. And once that the charred bones are gathered up, he will place them in the hole where before the body was, covers it up, smooths the earth, takes whatever loose leaves will be there, scatters it around, looks around, takes one of the stones, takes his Bowie knife, carves something into it very crudely, and then the carved bit is on the ground as he puts it in the middle there. Lights another cigarette, does another pentagram symbol, finishes it, flicks it away, and just says, "Our work here is done."
Julian nods to that.
And Marcus sighs a very long, very heartfelt sigh of relief. I kept my word. Right. Let's get back.
Not to ruin this moment, but I feel kind of sad for you. Nothing happened, and you're going to be involved with something much more dangerous.
How should I say? I'll put it this way, my friend. When, for a living, you had to face the possibility that any day you could die, there was, there actually still is a little ritual I like to do every night when I awaken. It's sit down and meditate on the fact that I could be ripped to shreds by arrows, gunfire, the claws of a gangrel. That, yes, if I stay stationary, I might be able to persist for eons. But that doesn't mean that I'm not indestructible. Funnily enough, that thought gives me comfort. After all, nothing is forever, and change has to have a purpose. I don't fear death. I rather just fear dying without honor.
Julian nods solemnly to that.
However, having friends like you just gives me all the more motivation to fight more bitterly, to sell my unlife more dearly. And you'll give him a somewhat warm smile at that.
And Julian again nods and adjusts his hat a little bit.
Right. Enough with that. Now to the very last part of the ceremony. Let's find ourselves some drunk and get smashed. What do you say?
Sure.
I'll be treating you. And he gives him a wink. And with that, they'll most likely be making their way back to Ordo territory, back to the hunting grounds where Marcus prowls the night. Maybe even going to the Hammerhead, where Marcus knows that there are always plenty drunk fellows to be found.
And I think that is a good place for us to end our scene. Thank you, players for playing. Thank you, watchers for watching. We'll see you next time. Good night.